Only 7 hours to level 100 with this amazing rogue build. We're using Endless Barrage together with Inner Sight for insane burst damage. Pair this together with 2 Arrow Storm aspects that will on lucky hit with your marksman skill have an Arrow Storm coming from the sky. And if you're damaging a vulnerable opponent, there's another Arrow Storm coming from the sky. In between, you're throwing in poisonous smoke bombs, which work perfect with the Alchemical Advantage passive, giving you bonus attack speed and lucky hit chance. The lucky hit chance in this case being needed with Innervation to essentially soak back up your energy in the phases where Inner Sight is not triggered. And the very fun part is if you have a base 15% crit chance due to Barrage giving you a bonus 20%, vulnerable people in your Caltrops, another 20%, that's already 40% bonus crit chance. Then with your Dark Shroud, we get another 10%, and Inner Sight itself gives us 25%, in total plus 75% critical strike chance. On top, we're making our basic skills cold imbued, and we do 20% more damage against chilled and frozen enemies. And if we're then putting the cold imbuement in, we can barrage, cold imbue, super freeze, lucky hit chance, freeze with our gear in general. And then if you have to basic skill in between to regain some energy back, well, that's straight up going to be cold imbued to freeze even more, to then have the barrage do more damage, to then Inner Sight, cold imbue, rinse and repeat. And the gameplay loop couldn't be more fun, and it's also quite simple. Since you're dashing in, drop your Caltrops below them, start barraging away until you're empty, smoke grenade in between if the cooldown is up, then go for your puncture if you're out of energy and Inner Sight is not activated yet, get some energy back, shoot barrage out again, Inner Sight is activated, perma boost the barrage away. And whenever you fight a tough opponent, a big elite, a boss, anything, quickly activate cold imbuement to get that little extra oomph and then just absolutely obliterate them, get them staggered, tear them into pieces. And then rinse and repeat, Inner Sight up, barrage super spam. And the good thing is you don't have to stand still. You can essentially stutter step forward throughout all your opponents, and it works just so damn well in the Infernal Hordes. Nothing stands a chance against you. I essentially started doing the Infernal Hordes from level 43 on, and then until level 100 I've done nothing else but Infernal Hordes. The build works from level 1 to 100 without any changes to your skill tree. You will begin with Puncture, into Enhanced Puncture, and then Fundamental Puncture to make things vulnerable and regain more energy. All the points into Barrage with Enhanced Barrage, into Advanced Barrage for the bonus critical strike chance, then damage reduction from close enemies, and you can heal with a lucky hit and critical strike from close enemies as well. Essentially, you want to stand inside of them. More bonus critical strike damage with crossbows, and yes, in this case, you would want to have a crossbow. And we're taking L Caltrops with ever-increasing damage, and then also the bonus critical strike. 3 points into Unstable Elixirs for the bonus damage multiplier, and then even more critical strike damage against dazed or stunned targets, as we're going to daze a lot. We're getting the dash to zoom around, could alternatively take the Shadow Step for Unstoppable. 1 point in Agile for that bonus dodge chance, then 1 point into Dark Shroud with a countering Dark Shroud. I'd like to have more points into Dark Shroud, but that is currently not possible, and while leveling also not needed. Then we're getting the Smoke Grenade, and the Smoke Grenade will be now a poison damage smoke grenade, and that has a very simple reason. We'll get to that in a second. With the Exploit and the Malice for the bonus damage multipliers, and then we get the bonus poison damage, doesn't matter, but dealing poison damage increases your attack speed and lucky hit chance by 3% for 8 seconds up to 15%. And that works perfectly fine, as our smoke bomb is just ticking away over these 8 seconds and just continuously giving us more attack speed and lucky hit chance. Then we get the cold imbuement with even more cold imbuement damage, and the fun part is that makes cold imbuement permanently essentially works on your basic skill, since, well, they're cold imbued, plus the bonus damage multiplier versus chilled and frozen enemies. We'll get our energy back as we lucky hit with anything, and we'll get barrier as we use up energy, which is really nice in between of these Inner Sight burst phases that we then barrier up. Lastly, the Precision Key passive, which gives us bonus damage if we crit a lot, and with our crit damage multiplier, and well, we just talked about having almost 100% critical strike chance. For the gear, we want critical strike damage and critical strike damage tempers. You can also take damage per Dark Shroud, but in this case, we're going for the critical strike damage to get the precision higher. And then Barrage casts twice as well. Max life, damage, or dexterity, all very good. Same on our other dagger. I experimented a bit around with Caltrops duration. but having your barrage double cast is just way more worth it. The bow wants to do critical as well. I have only vulnerable right now. And the aspect of arrow storms is on. Your marksman and cutworth skills have a 25% chance to create an arrow storm in the enemy location, and your arrow storms deal 120% increased damage. Your first dagger gives you bonus attack speed if you crit, and we always crit. And your second dagger has your barrage arrows pierce and give you bonus attack speed as well. That's another 50% bonus attack speed. Now your second arrow storm aspect is on your choker, on your amulet. Damaging a vulnerable enemy has a 25% chance to make an arrow storm as well, and then your arrow storms deal another 90% more damage. Very nice. We do have a lucky hit chance to make enemies vulnerable. We kind of want to have alchemical advantage on here, and malice, for example. A chemical advantage would be even more lucky hit and even more attack speed, so that would be very nice. Then you can have max life, movement speed, crit chance, lucky hit, probably more lucky hit to be honest. We have also the inner sight duration tempering, that our inner sight gets 30% longer. We can actually bring it from 4 seconds up all the way to 8 seconds, even 9 seconds, I think. Now the ring is rocking definitely maximum life, then lucky hit chance would be preferred, and critical strike damage currently. I've been experimenting with poison imbuement. I would rather go in this case for the cold imbuement. And then your second temper can be critical strike damage or damage per dark shroud shadow. And as we're getting 5 dark shrouds, that's quite the damage boost per tempering there. Second ring has damage per dark shadow and poison imbue for 2 casts. Again, could be the frost imbue. I'm experimenting currently. And then lucky hit chance, crit chance, maximum life, just getting it higher. The crit chance I'd rather have to be dex or critical strike damage in this case. For my boots, I went with energy per second to always have energy per second, just having a little bit bonus, and that helps to really stay on top. Maximum life, the 3 ranks and caltrops really are not what you want. Just rather have a basic movement speed, then a lucky hit to do anything. Freeze, stun, slow, mobility cooldown reduction, movement speed temper as well, and then the 20% chance to daze and another 20% bonus damage versus dazed. My pants are a bit funny because I found the Tested of the Dawning Sky and they give you 43% resistance to all elements. Yeah, I mean with this one, you're instantly fully resistanced out. Now usually that would be a normal pants and they would be rocking the Umbrous aspect. Critical strikes have up to a 60% chance to grant a free Dark Shroud shadow, as you don't want to have Dark Shroud in your skill bar. And then your helmet, instead of energy per second, armor, and dexterity, would actually be the Cowl of the Nameless, since that one is absolutely incredible. Sadly, I only have this in item power 600, so I can't use it right now, but it will essentially give you more unstable elixirs, so more damage multiplier there, more trick attacks for even more crit damage, in total just making you an absolute menace. And as our chest piece, we've been playing Juggernaut while leveling to just be fully armored out. But as soon as you have the Scoundrel's Leathers, you want to use them, as they give you movement speed while the inner sight gauge is full. Not that much useful because you're standing still in that case, but inner sight duration plus 50%, and damage reduction from enemies affected by your trap skills. The more interesting part is, while you have unlimited energy from inner sight, casting a core skill has an 80% chance to spawn Caltrops, Poison Trap, or Death Trap, and this one doesn't have a cooldown. So if you're spamming away with 100% attack speed, the Scoundrel's Leathers will just continuously spew out Caltrops, Poison Traps, and Death Traps. And in a further version, you're also thinking about boosting the Death Trap damage with your Paragon board, because you're boosting the ultimate skill damage here. Your Death Trap will just simply continuously fly out and do tons of damage faster than you could ever do with preparation. And we're obviously using inner sight here. It tags enemies to fill your inner sight gauge, and then you get the 25% critical strike chance. And we're currently sitting at 7.12 seconds, where that's just able to blast away and we're not running out of resource. As another dagger option, there is the Umbercrew, and the Umbercrew would give you Innervation, so even more energy on lucky hit, generally subterfuge skill cooldown, which is good, and your subterfuge skills create an attackable shade totem, and any damage it takes replicates onto surrounding enemies. So this is quite intriguing and was absolutely insane in the PDR. If you do have it, you can use it, but I wanted to present you a version that works completely without uniques, and how it would like if you have some of the uniques already. Before we get into the Paragon board, interestingly enough, this Barrage Rogue is a pre-stage to the Endariel's Barrage Rogue as well. As soon as you have Endariel's Visage, Atlas, the Poison Helmet, it is really simple to then transfer this over into a full poison build. if you then so wish to. You could also just go even deeper and harder on that full crit multiplying to overwhelm your opponents. Now, the Paragon board had one single purpose in the beginning, and that was pick up as much resistance to all elements as you could, because that's the thing. You want to be 75, 75, 75, 75, that you can then straight away go into the Infernal Hordes without worrying any kind of death. That's where we get like the cold resistance, and we get the poison resistance and the all resistance, and even more all resistance on this case. For the Paragon, it is resistance into combat, because that gives us back skills that critical strike restore energy cost, that if we don't have energy side, we're still unlimited on energy. Then we're going up into the Leyrana's board, which gives us inner side active and then bonus damage multiplier according to how much core skill damage bonus we have. The glyph we activate is fluidity. When we use an agility skill, that we get bonus damage and energy regeneration. And then we're going to go over cunning stratagem board to get core skill damage, core skill damage, core skill damage, and boost this with the pride glyph, which gives us more damage to injured and healthy opponents, but also makes the rare node even harder hitters. That brings us in total up to then the 35% multiplier without actually putting in much. Next up is the exploited weakness board, where we're stacking up vulnerable damage together with a ranger glyph for a little bit of damage reduction and bonus damage to our marksman skills. Then into the deadly ambush board for more critical strike damage against trap affected enemies with the ambush glyph for more multipliers against trap affected enemies. Bringing us into the Eldritch Bounty board, where we get more imbuement power on the imbuement that we're actually using, with the canny glyph that gives us more non-physical damage, so making our cold hit even harder. And then we're essentially going up down here to activate Leyrana's instinct, that we have it popping. Again, the board is meant to make you agile in the beginning, that you're able to resist everything, and you can start with the Infernal Hordes as soon as possible in World Tier 4. Now, some closing words. The build is absolutely able to push deep into the pit, and we're talking about at least 100 to comfortable farm there for your Neath Iron. And tormented bosses will fall in front of you, tier 100 dungeons, all that stuff is possible. In order to make it even stronger, a Ring of Starless Skies would be nice, and the legendary cap I talked about. Don't worry, the Mobalytics will have both versions, the non-unique one and the one with even more uniques. That being said though, I see this more as a starter build for Rogue to essentially push super fast to 100, and as you're then on 100 and you're picking up more pieces of gear, you're getting your Resplendent Spark, that you're then thinking about to take the next step to transition the Barrage Aerostorm into the Endariel's Full Poison, for example. Now, if you do want to see how we actually have been flying through the levels, there is the live stream for you, or more tips about Season 5 and how to properly actually level. There's another video. Enjoy and have a fantastic good day.